Just want to say I've had the pleasure of working with Josh and Sean over the past few months, and I think you'll see a lot of parallels in what I'm presenting with what they've talked about. So I just want to kind of set the stage a little bit with where we've been and where we're headed along our data governance journey and some of the tools that we've used to enable that journey. So probably, almost 10 years ago, we implemented a PIM system, or product information management tool, to help manage our product data. And we used that to make sure that we could distribute that data to our websites in the form of nutritional information, as well as out to our customers, that being retailers and food service organizations, in the form of logistical, weights and measures. How big is a pallet? How big is a case? How big is a package that's going to sit on the shelf, et cetera. So that was sort of the step one in our journey. And as we did that, we quickly realized that we needed to expand into other domains. So we added that to our master data management approach in customer, finance, other domains. And it was around that time that we implemented a data quality management tool to make sure that the data that we were using both internally and shipping externally was of the highest quality. More recently, like many of you probably have been doing, we've focused on privacy and consumer data. And we're in the process of implementing a global privacy and compliance tool to help us with that initiative. And at the same time, kind of in parallel, we are implementing a new modernized data and analytics platform. And we know that we need to implement some good governance to ensure that we get the best return on that investment. And part of that solution is a data catalog component. So we're really leveraging the data and analytics project to gather and gain some enthusiasm and excitement around our data governance journey. So if we flip to the next slide, I'd like to chat a little bit about what we're doing with this analytics platform and give you a sense for how we're applying governance in that area. So our goal is to move this out of our data center fully and get everything fully cloud enabled, scalable platform for global analytics at Kellogg's. And per the comments that Josh and Sean talked about, we're starting with metadata, right? We need to implement a data catalog solution to help reduce the time and effort it takes to find the data that's in our platform, right? We also know that we need to enhance the availability and connectivity of the data by implementing a more strategic data architecture approach. We need to reduce data duplication and help with speed to market by expanding our data engineering COE. We can always improve ways of working around our solution delivery process, and kind of overarching over all of this is really just having good governance practices in place to make sure that we can build trust in data and get everyone really participating in the process. So one of the ways that, if you look at the next slide, the way that we're trying to do this, I know Sean and Josh have called it minimum valuable governance. We call this minimum viable governance. As we roll out our platform and get kind of open up the doors to the new data and analytics platform, we don't want to throw too much at people at the same time. So we're trying to apply some good change management approaches here and take this more evolutionary approach. And in the crawl phase, what we're trying to do is get those roles adopted. So our data governance roles, data stewards, data owners, data sponsors, we really need to make sure that those people around the organizations really embrace that accountability. We need them to help us do the data classification and mapping to make sure that it aligns with our domain model and our sensitivity classification. And we want them to start doing some data curation in our catalog solution. So that's kind of the initial test and learn phase. And as we move into more of up the maturity scale, we want to evolve and expand the scope to include data and analytics councils. We want to make sure our data owners and data stewards are reviewing and approving or not the access requests that people have to their data sets. And we want to expand the scope of data lineage that we're tracking within our data catalog and beyond. And then as we morph into more of a run state, into a kind of a repeat test, not test and learn, but a kind of continuous optimization approach, we want to make sure that we're covering the data quality for all those analytical data sets. And we want to make sure that we're aligning with our corporate data retention policies. So that's how we're looking at describing this to our data stewards around the organization. And if we look at the next slide, As I think Josh mentioned, I never thought I would hear the term gamifying data governance, but here it is. We want to have sort of a contest to get those data stewards engaged and kind of, do a time boxed period where we see who can curate the most dashboards, who can curate their dashboard first, and win some achievers points, which is our, one of our recognition programs that kind of you can turn points into, say, Amazon gift cards, for instance. So what we hope to achieve by this is really getting those data stewards to embrace their roles and realize the importance of data governance. I think many of them are already doing this and they don't really realize that there's a name for what they're doing. And we want them to begin using the data catalog solution and doing that curation of those dashboards and data sets. And honestly, everyone we have shown the catalog to is very excited and wants to immediately get in and start using it. They can already see the benefits, but we want them to do that, and then also share those benefits out with the rest of the organization to highlight and hopefully accelerate the adoption there. And we just want to have some fun and have some healthy competition. The regions are always looking for ways to compete against each other and show somebody that they're better than the others, and just reward them with some incentives in the form of those achievers points. So that's kind of the initial state. We're going to probably implement this contest late this quarter, early next quarter, as we open up the doors to the new platform. So if we jump to the next slide, I think what we're trying to arrive at is the nirvana state here of governance. And we envision that what we'll have at that point is that all of our data stewards are aligned to their roles and actively engaged with the practices of governance. We've got data quality being understood and monitored for those critical data sources. We're curing and classifying our data sets according to their sensitivity, and then the access to them is being controlled by our data owners. And data sources and dashboards are all being curated in the catalog solution so people can find them when they go to look for something in the catalog. So ultimately, we want people to think that governance is not just an IT problem or an IT responsibility. We want it to be broadly embraced by everyone and see it as the entire organization's responsibility. So with that, I think I'm going to turn it back over to Sean, and thank you for the opportunity to present kind of what we're doing at KELLOGG'S. So that's just a brief overview of where we're